Hi guys, welcome to another video, and today we're going to tackle my top 5 graphic adventure games, or point and clicks. You can call them whatever you want, but I'm basically talking about the old style with the nice fancy graphics and the speech and the text on, and you point at a part and then click to interact with the screen. I'm sure you must know what I'm talking about now, you probably wouldn't be here otherwise. Basically, these are my personal top 5, so I'm sure yours opinion will differ. If they do, stick it in the comments below. We'll have a discussion about it, because the great thing about this as a genre as a whole, it's all about really in-depth storytelling and a bit of light interaction here and there. It's mainly about the scripts usually in part of the games, and there's so many of them to choose from, but these are the 5 that have stuck with me over the years and ones I always enjoy going back to and really had an effect on me back when I played them originally. So yeah, where should we start at? Number 5, this might seem a peculiar one, but it's Full Throttle. This was even when I played it back in the day, I mean, I bought it on a Friday evening. I was at school at the time. This is how long ago it was, bloody hell. It had just been released, and I got home after school and fired it up, and then I finished it by the end of the next day. I think it maybe took me 7 hours. And I'm not a genius or anything. I just fired through it. It was really easy, which was disappointing. But at least I got the replay value out of it, because I kept going back to it. And yeah, Full Throttle, what a game! It was the whole bikers from hell, very, that whole American, out in the back roads and the highways and the bars, and it had a fantastic story about this car tycoon baron who owned like the equivalent of Harley Davidson being murdered, and then you having to spend the entire game tracking down who his killer was, and then they turned around there trying to kill you as well, and it's a whole going backwards and forwards, and there's a neat bit where you actually get to drive the bike. It doesn't really work too well, I'm afraid, but for the time it's something that was quite interesting. It's got some very good and fun puzzles, but the thing is, because this main character just didn't care, is if he comes across a locked door, rather than mess around like try to find a key under the mat or do something ridiculous, it just kicks the door through, and it just gives you a whole new change to the world. And it was how LucasArts at the time, because they were the king of this genre by the end, and they'd found the feet with them, they're really comfortable with it, and the script is just fantastic. The voice acting is absolutely brilliant. I believe they're just about to do a re-release on the PSN at some point, so very good news. Anyway, moving on to number 4. This is sort of a graphic adventure, but it's the first proper one really, and it's Myst. I mean, I played this back in the day around at somebody's house, just somebody whose father had a PC via work, because this is when they were not very common at all. I had a version of it, and it was so weird. It was so bleak and depressing, because you were on this island and exploring and trying to find out what was going on. And this is when CD drives had just come out on PCs, and it used them to the best advantage with the music and the voice and the sound of the video and stuff, and it all just worked together so perfectly. I mean, going back to the original version of it now, it looks okay. It's a bit clunky, and they've done Myst was one of the best-selling games of all time for so long, but they've done so many re-released and rejigged versions of it. And it's actually worth going back to one of the more modern ones. It's a lot of fun, and this whole story and that universe it sets up, and the fact that you're on your own and you're on your own adventure, and yeah, what can I say? It's Myst, man. Go back and play it, you'll enjoy it. They did struggle with a few of the sequels. Some of them were okay, but they never had that, for me, they never had the effect that the original one had all them years ago. So anyway, moving on to number 3, and it is Beneath a Steel Sky. Now, straight away, this is a UK-based RPG. What am I saying? Graphic adventure. This is what they did a re-release recently. I've got it on the iPad. But back in the day, this came with a really gorgeous comic, which had been specially designed for it by, I think it was one of the artists from who was doing the Judge Dredd comic. I think at the time he worked, Dave Gibbon. Sorry, should have done my research. but some gorgeous artwork, and you basically it's a Blade Runner style future where all these dystopian towers and darkness, and you get brought in from this apocalyptic wasteland on the outskirts, and you dropped into the middle of this whole futuristic city, and the only pal you've got, your best mate's a robot, and he gets destroyed before the game starts. So you start the game with a circuit board, and your first thing you have to do, is called Joey, is you have to repair him. And then when you do, he's a proper wisecracking, rude as anything character. He's awesome, absolutely awesome. But it was all there's speech editions. It did a normal text edition, but the speech is something else, because again, this is back when they were just experimenting with it properly, and the company realised we've got to do something special with it. Can't just get some real lame, programmer just blurbing the lines out, and they did something special. The main character sounds great, Joey sounds great, the characters you meet as this whole story develops and goes along. I mean, it's probably one of them early things, and there was bits of VR in it where you go into a virtual reality world and to solve puzzles and things, and then you're walking around with people, and because it's British, a British game, it's a very British sense of humour. The people swear at you in a very British way, and it all just gels, and the puzzles are great, and it's actually fairly difficult, but it's worth sticking at. And you can die in this one. It's not like the LucasArts game, but it's quite enjoyable and well worth playing. Right, anyway, moving on to number 2. This was almost my number 1, and you'll soon understand why I didn't. But number 2 is Grim Fandango. Now, to me, this came in I think it was 98 actually, 98 when this came out, and I got it on launch day. I was really excited about it. I'd read all the stuff in PC Gamer and all the other mags and stuff. The internet, I didn't really have much access to it at the time, but the excitement was there. But the whole graphic adventure thing was dying off, because this was pretty much the last big popular one before that whole set of games just disappeared for God knows, probably 10, 12 years or something before it started re-emerging. But it was so fantastic. It was all film noir, all based in the Mexican land of the dead, and you start off and you're a Grim Reaper, and you're all like big tall roams and everything's absolutely massive, and he's got the scythe, and then you get back to the office after you've finished his day at work, and he takes the cloak off, and all of a sudden you see he stood on stilts and steps down, and it's just straight away it's just that very odd sense of humour that really made it stand out in my mind. And it evolves, because you basically have to get this guy through the land of the dead, because you get 3 years to get through and to get onto this golden train at the end, which takes him off to heaven. But someone's been stealing tickets, and there's all this whole time with these evil people backstabbing and dealing. But as you go through the games, there's certain parts where, I'm not really spoiling it, but you get to a part called Rubicava, and this is another thing about this whole game. It's the first time I felt where music in a game really gelled perfectly with the world you were in. And you're at Rubicava, and you're basically in this, it's like a diner with all these boxes on the wall with food plates sat inside, and where they put tokens in, and it's nothing special. It's a big long room, and you're stood in the middle of it, and it's got Manny Calavera scrubbing the floor and wiping it all down and stuff. And then the music changes, and it all, like, the camera juts back and goes up through the ceiling and goes up, and then all of a sudden it flicks to night time, and this kick-ass music comes in, like jazz music, and then tempo, and it's just something else. And then it goes back down through the roof again, and it's all nighttime stuff, and it's turned into a nightclub, and he now owns it, because he's like a salesman, and he's working his way through. And the whole game is like this. Every year as it goes by, he gets better and better and does more stuff. And then the whole music, it's all film noir and grim noir. It was just brilliant at the time. It's one of my all-time favourite graphic adventure games. I would recommend you go and play the Grim Fandango HD's available now. I've got it on the PSN and the PC, because I'm mad for it. But anyway, moving on, because we don't want to go on about that one for too long. Anyway, number 1, my all-time favourite graphic adventure game. I played this as a kid, I was mad for it, and it's Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge. at the time, what can be said about this? The script writing, it's one of the early adventure games, it's a sequel to the first one. It picked up the first one, story, ran with it. The humour was cranked up to like 11. It really is one of those type of games. The puzzles are fantastic. So the music is all very Caribbean and tied and piratey and all tied into this theme of you with this bit of a loser guy really who keeps going on these adventures and then losing all of his riches and stuff, and it's how it all develops about him dealing with the ghost pirate LeChuck who I say it's all about revenge. And the script is just something else. The humour is something else. It's so involved, and the reason it's above Grim Fandango is because it made me laugh more. It was the one game I was obsessed with when I had an Amiga in the day. I would spend so many hours and I would play and replay it so many times, and even now to this day, every couple of years I'll fire it back up, and I know it from back to front, but the way the music works with it and all tied in with the humour and the funny scripts and stuff, I always go back to it. Absolutely amazing game. They did do some remakes of 1 and 2 over the years, which weren't very good. I didn't like the new graphical style, which was a shame because it's absolutely a fantastic game. But don't sound as excited as I did over this one to say Grim Fandango. But Monkey Island 2, it's just all you need to do really is go back and just go on YouTube and look up the theme tune or the opening tune for Monkey Island 2 and just sit there and listen to that for 5 minutes, and then you'll understand where the love for this game comes from. Absolutely brilliant. Anyway guys, that's my top 5 graphic adventure games. Like I say, I'm sure some of you might disagree, or I actually would love to hear any others you've experienced or you prefer, because it means I've got more to go back and play. There's lots of them out there, and the genre has taken back off again the last 6 or 7 years, so there are lots of suggestions. As always, thanks for watching, and please look forward to another video soon.